The Miami Dolphins got great injury news after the win against the San Francisco 49ers on Jordyn Brooks and Kendall Fuller. Plus, we will have a lot more injury updates to get to on today's show. So with that being said, let's get into the latest around the Miami Dolphins. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. On today's show, we will go through the injury updates on these respective 5 players: Jordyn Brooks, Kendall Fuller, Jaylen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, and Tyreek Hill. Some big hitters, some big names on today's show, which is why it is so important that you stay subscribed, but also help us out in our shares competition because we are trying to catch the Broncos breakdown in shares. We're also trying to catch them in the playoff race. We're also battling the Patriots Today channel. Allie Barefoot and Matthew Peterson challenged us. We're right smack dab in the middle in the month of December. Can we get on top? Help me out by sharing today's video to a friend, family member, doesn't matter. Help us out. All right, the first piece of news is on Jordyn Brooks because Mike McDaniel is optimistic about Jordyn Brooks' statuses after his quad and knee injury. He actually re-entered the game very late in the game on Sunday afternoon against the San Francisco 49ers. And it's important that Brooks is there, one, because he's been the best linebacker for Miami. And I do want to say, I didn't think this was going to be an issue, if I'm going to be honest. If you were with us for our watch party on Sunday, I said that the injury didn't look bad live. And I know looks can always be deceiving, but when I watched him get hurt, it was more or less like a bruise. Like Jalen Ramsey's calf/shin went flying into the hammy and knee area of Jordyn Brooks. So to me, it just kind of felt like a stinger, maybe a Charlie horse, or like I mentioned, a bruise. And although that is going to be very painful, I wasn't stressed out that he suffered some catastrophic injury that was going to end his season, but also potentially prohibit him from getting better in the offseason because he had to deal with rehab. And it's good because Jordyn Brooks has been the best linebacker on the Miami Dolphins without a question. 188 or 128 tackles, 3 sacks, PFF grade of 74.7. He's actually been solid in coverage too. Not going to act like he's some elite coverage linebacker, but for his standards, that's always been the worst part of his game. But this year, only allowing 54 completions on 74 targets, 600 yards. He works the middle of that field. He's also played in every Dolphins game. He has played in all 15 games. He's one of the rare players to be able to do that for the Fins this season. So I am very happy that Jordyn Brooks looks like he's going to keep that streak continue because I do expect him to play this upcoming Sunday against the Cleveland Browns, which is a must-win if the Dolphins want to make the postseason. And if you just think of this at a macro perspective, it is good that he doesn't have to worry about rehab because he is going to be a solid piece and an instrumental piece for this Miami Dolphins football team entering 2025. There are a lot of players on this defense that I would like to see leave, Jordan Poyer and Javon Holland. There's some players that I'd like to have come back. Jordyn Brooks on a 3-year deal. I'm very excited that he is going to return for the Miami Dolphins next season because he's been great this year, and I hope he is able to build on that with a good season next year as well. Let's move over to the next piece of great news, and that's on Kendall Fuller, who left the game in the second half holding his knee, so that's always a scary situation. Well, Mike McDaniel said that we'll have more on Kendall Fuller Tuesday afternoon, so make sure you're subscribed and updated for that. But he believes that he avoided a significant injury, more or less a torn ACL or MCL. Now, he will have more tests, and like this tweet mentions, there will be a larger update probably on Tuesday afternoon that we will have for you. But just off rip right here, based off what Mike McDaniel said to reporters at his press conference today, this is absolutely massive because Kendall Fuller has been great for Miami this season, and I don't want him to have to rehab with an ACL injury. Fuller's an older corner, kind of around that 30 age threshold, right? And if he has to worry about ACL rehab, that could really just end his career if we're going to be honest. So the fact that it doesn't feel like a massive injury is really important for the Miami Dolphins and Kendall Fuller in his own personal career. It can't hurt. Wish Kendall Fuller the best of luck. Spam those 2 nines down in the comment section to hopefully give Kendall Fuller the best luck possible so he does not have a serious injury. Because like I mentioned, once again, it looked bad. Anytime a player is holding his knee on the ground, you immediately start to think the worst, but Mike McDaniel is saying that's not the case, and I am very excited about that. And we've talked about how good Fuller's been for the Dolphins this season. He has dealt with concussions, which has limited him, made him miss 4 games, missed a game against, I believe, the Seattle Seahawks earlier in the year, but also missed games against the Raiders, Patriots, and Jets, or not Jets. The Packers was the other game that he missed. But he's been really good in coverage this year, allowing just a completion percentage of 62.8%, only 1 touchdown, 5 PBUs. I think Kendall Fuller has been a revelation. I have not been right about everything surrounding this football team this season. I am not going to try to act like I have been, but a couple of key pieces that I have been right about, and I will continue to pat my own back, has been Kendall Fuller as an upgrade over Xavier Howard at CB2, which, by the way, Xavier Howard is still not signed with anyone this season, so that just tells you how the league feels about him. But also Jonnu Smith, who we've talked about how good he's been all year. But another thing on Kendall Fuller, I've been very pleased with his tackling. I think that's an underrated part of his game, is that he has been willing and able to go make tackles for this Dolphins team on a team that does not tackle well, a team that has a couple players in the secondary, Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer once again, that can't tackle and are not good at tackling. Fuller's been good. Him and Ramsey have been willing and able to tackle on the boundary for the Dolphins defense, and boy, has it been necessary. All right, we're going to continue the conversation here in just a second, but we are sponsored by DraftKings, and I got to tell you more about them. It's the most wonderful time of the year for getting in on all the hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. In the season of giving, we're being gifted college football and basketball, pro football and basketball, and pro hockey too, almost 24/7. And here's a gift for all new customers. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HEATCHAT. That's code HEATCHAT for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And you can make some plays for NFL Christmas action this Wednesday. I got Steelers money line at plus 120. I think they win against the Chiefs at home. George Pickens is returning. And I also got the Houston and Baltimore Ravens over 46.5 at minus 112 odds. Lines and odds subject to change, but make sure you download DraftKings today, create an account, and use code HEATCHAT when signing up. That'll give you $150 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That needs to be $5. Shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's move over to the next piece of injury news, and that is on Jaylen Waddle, because Mike McDaniel shared this note today. Waddle obviously suffered that injury against the Texans and did not play against the 49ers. McDaniel said that he's expecting to get everything from Waddle that he can do. He's talked to the trainer to make sure we protect him from himself. We will see how the week progresses. I don't know exactly what it will look like. Waddle obviously got rolled up on blocking against the Texans, and I was just concerned for him long term. So I'm happy that he doesn't have a serious injury and could potentially return. But I'd hold him out this week, and maybe hubris is getting to me. And listen, the Dolphins might be eliminated from the playoffs before they take the field on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. If the Broncos and Chargers both win, they're both playing on Saturday. If they win those games each, well, the Dolphins can't catch them because they'd be at 10 wins a pop, and they need one of those teams to lose both of them. So if the Dolphins are eliminated from contention, there's really no sense of throwing Waddle out there. But even if they aren't eliminated from playoffs, what's the reason to put Waddle out there? You're facing a Cleveland Browns team that is absolutely horrific. They can't move the football. You should be able to win against Cleveland on the road without Jaylen Waddle, especially if you just beat the 49ers. The 49ers aren't good, but they're better than the Browns for sure. So I don't think you need Jaylen Waddle. And with Malik Washington continuing to be into the fold even more, I feel comfortable not playing Jaylen Waddle and making sure his knee is fully healed this late in the season. Malik played well against San Francisco. 3 receptions, 28 yards, had that one really nice little inside route where he got 19 yards down to the red zone and inside the 10-yard line. Good anticipatory throw by Tua, finding Washington. But Malik continues to show every week that he is deserving of an expanded role in this offense and might even be the guy who the Dolphins expect to be their slot receiver next season for the Dolphins. I mean, you have, at least as of right now, Waddle and Hill under contract. You don't really have a third wide receiver. Maybe that's going to be the 6th-round rookie Malik Washington as that projected slot guy in this offseason. All right, make sure you hit that sub button. We are breaking down the Dolphins every single day. Dolphins news, rumors, live shows. We'll be live on Tuesday. We'll be live on Sunday for Browns and Dolphins action. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 67K. We just passed 66K. Shout out to y'all. All right, quick little thing on Tyreek Hill, who looked really, really bad against the 49ers, had a pair of drops that were just absolutely massive. Mike McDaniel said Tyreek Hill is playing through a ton of discomfort, and we know that he's been limited with a wrist injury, and it is 95% certain, in my opinion, that Tyreek Hill will have wrist surgery once the Dolphins are eliminated from the playoffs or the season just ends in general. I expect Tyreek Hill to get surgery, so I know he's fighting through something. I just don't know if it's a valid excuse, though, and I've used this before. If he is that injured to where he is struggling to catch footballs this much, just don't play. Like, have guys out there that can make plays because the drops from Tyreek Hill can't continue. Hill had 3 receptions for about 40 yards and a touchdown against the 49ers. And yes, his speed is just a threat if he's out there, even if he doesn't get targeted that much. But I'm just sick and tired of Tua looking for Hill on money situations, in the red zone, on 3rd down, dropping dimes, and Tyreek not able to catch it. He dropped a nice ball right over the middle that would have been 20 yards. He dropped what would have been a perfect dime 20-yard touchdown too. Tyreek Hill's hands just haven't been good. Sure, yes, you can blame the drops, but if you're out there playing football, I expect you to make plays. It just is the morality of the situation, unfortunately, and maybe that's me, but I feel like if you're out there, I should expect you to make the plays you normally can. So the drops can't continue. Come on, make the plays, Tyreek. All right, round out the show with this. Marcel having the note that McDaniel was non-committal as to whether Bradley Chubb will be activated by Wednesday's deadline. His 21-day practice window is coming to a close, and I do want that to be noted here for all the Dolphins fans at home who might not know the exact ruling. If you get activated to the 21-day practice window, you have 21 days to be put on the 53-man roster. If you are not activated by that 21-day window, you are now ineligible to return for the NFL season. So the 21-day window ends on 12/25. So Christmas, this Wednesday, if Bradley Chubb is not activated to the 53-man roster of Miami, he is not going to return this season either against the Cleveland Browns in Week 17, Week 18 against the Jets, or, granted, if he makes the playoffs to play an extra game this season. So we'll see if Chubb ultimately comes back, but I want you guys to predict it for me down in the comment section. Do you think Bradley Chubb will play again this season and be activated? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Get down in the comment section and drop your votes on what Chubb will ultimately do this season. If it was up to me, I want him activated. I've been on record saying this quite a bit, but one, I want to see what Bradley Chubb still has in the tank. Does he have juice? Does he have that get off? I know it's going to be tough. I also want him to get reps before you go into the offseason, because if Chubb remains on this roster for 2025, then I would like for him to have a little bit of confidence in his own knee and his own ability to play the game of football rather than that happen in coming next preseason for the first time or Week 1 of 2025. So I want him there. And if you do want to move on from him post June 1st potentially, then you might want to trade him. And if you want to trade him, you want good reps and good tape for everybody else in the NFL so they could potentially give you a decent enough trade offer. So I think there's a lot of beneficiaries for Bradley Chubb to return and play this season. So hopefully he goes out there and plays by the end of the year. All right, that'll be it for today's show. We already dropped one video earlier today where we dropped another one. This is why you subscribe. We'll have you covered on everything surrounding the Miami Dolphins. We'll be live on Christmas Eve special Tuesday live show on the channel. Then we'll be live on Sunday as well with videos in between. So hit that sub button for everything you need around the Miami Dolphins.